Yeah! Devin Reacts and Vlogs. Here and today, Devin will react to 11 minutes of useless facts about nature. Someone recommended me this. Appreciate him. I love that the word is getting spread. I love that. I love the facts that y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, you guys are listening. All right. Appreciate it. But yeah, literally, like, it's not hard. I will do my best to actually give y'all the fullest of the full videos that y'all want to, watch or react to for the people. But never watch this video. I want you guys to like and subscribe. And I mean, we'll see how this video goes. Damn. Spread the word. That's what it's all about. Maybe. All right, let's go.
Pink pineapple.
And we're starting off with the pink pineapple.
Pink pineapple is actually
pineapples.
very illegal to grow. There's no such thing as a wild pink pineapple
giant.
because they don't exist. The pink color comes from a compound called lycopene, which is the same compound that gives tomatoes and watermelons their red color. Pink pineapples were engineered to have less acidity and more sugar.
Okay, I'm judging off that. You know what? No, I ain't gonna. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna not judge. And that's
It doesn't really numb your mouth like the original pineapple, but it also doesn't really taste like anything. With normal pineapples, you can plant the crown and grow more pineapples, but pink pineapples are sterilized, so people like you and me can't grow them without permission.
It took about a decade to develop it, and then another few years for the FDA to approve it for human consumption.
You may think I'm crazy, but oranges aren't supposed to be orange. Oranges naturally grow in more tropical areas, and as they ripen, they usually stay green. The Europeans began growing them in colder regions during the 15th century, which caused the green chlorophyll to break down and show the orange color underneath. Back then, the color orange didn't even have a name yet. So before we even named the color orange, we called the fruit pomme d'orange, which meant apple of orange. And
say that again?
We called the fruit pomme d'orange, which meant
fruit pomme d'orange. Put that on your notes.
Apple of orange, and eventually it just became orange. These days, growers use dyes to dye their oranges to match expectation.
This is crazy.
Before it was loved worldwide, the entire world hated watermelon. Wild watermelon evolved in South Africa where it didn't really rain much. They were really bitter and the inside had little to no color at all. This is because they evolved to deter pests and store as much water as possible. So the Kalahari people used them as canteens during their long journeys across the desert. Because it was bitter, ancient people primarily roasted the seeds or ate them in soups. But eventually people started only picking the watermelons with the reddish flesh. Across hundreds, if not thousands of years, watermelon evolved to be now what we know it to be. That's the reason why seedless watermelons are a bit strange. In 1939, a Japanese scientist...
I'd rather recommend seedless watermelons than seeds. Personally,
types of watermelon.
I don't think it's strange
watermelon
that
with 3 sets of
there's
chromosomes rather than
watermelon.
2, causing it to be sterile. Problem with sterile fruits is that they have weak genetics. One swoop of a random disease and extinction, which is exactly what's happening to bananas.
Meanwhile, a warning to banana and plantain farmers to be extra vigilant as the Panama disease wiping out the crops worldwide is close to our shores.
Some pine trees are fire resistant and some of them can't even grow without fire. The seeds for all of these trees are trapped inside of the cones. They only open up when they're extremely hot. When fire sweeps through a forest, it burns away the competition and the heat opens up the pine cones, which releases all the seeds into the ground. That's usually why you never see a pine tree standing alone. Indigenous communities for centuries used controlled fires to keep forests healthy. Most trees are afraid of fire, but pine trees actually need it. You never really see pine trees this thick, so I know this boy's been sitting here for a few years. Most people don't know this, but peach trees actually don't live that long. Apples, pears, and even olive trees can live for over 100 years, but peach trees give their best for about 10 to 12 years and then they slowly start to die. Because these trees grow so fast, the wood becomes softer and softer. That soft wood is what
My guy needs a retwist. I mean, I'm speaking out of generosity. I need a retwist, but like, he needs one desperately bad. I'm sorry. All right, let me quit.
makes it easier to catch diseases and rot out.
This is for education purposes.
During the Suintang dynasties, they would carve peach wood into swords to cast away evil spirits. There was a story of two brothers that guarded the spiritual world, and they used peach wood to capture evil spirits. If you've ever eaten cinnamon, you've actually been eating tree bark. Cinnamon was used to preserve the dead. Romans would burn it at funerals, but for centuries, no one actually knew where it came from. Cinnamon comes from the inner bark of a tropical tree, but ancient Arabian traders didn't want anyone to know that it actually came from Sri Lanka. So to keep control of the cinnamon trade, they made up stories. They told the Greeks and the Romans that the trees were guarded by giant birds and deadly snakes. It's crazy to think about, but at some point in human history, cinnamon was worth more than gold. But during the age of exploration, Portuguese sailors sailed straight.
Did you just say cinnamon's worth more than gold? Cinnamon.
Guarded by giant birds and deadly snakes. It's crazy to think about, but at some point in human history, cinnamon was worth more than gold. But during the age of Portuguese sailors sailed straight to Asia. They landed in Sri Lanka and discovered that the precious spice didn't come from some mysterious island. That one moment shattered centuries of mysteries and myth, and it opened the door to a brutal race among European powers to control the spice trade. Soon after, cinnamon plantations were being established. The prices for it dropped, and what was once rare and sacred became an everyday spice.
What the hell, LeBron James?
Crazy, but there is something really strange about mangoes. Unlike other fruits, mangoes don't really make sense for today's ecosystem. The seeds of a mango are too large for most modern animals to swallow.
Hey, it's me!
Disperse. I think it's because mangoes didn't evolve to be eaten by humans. It's actually very likely that they evolved to be eaten by massive creatures like the stegodon. Animals like that had the size and gut power to swallow the fruit whole and leave the seed behind. But even though those giants are extinct, for now, mangoes didn't disappear with them. We discovered them, we planted them, and we carried them across continents. We already know that cows can recognize each other's voices, but studies show that they actually have regional accents. So a calf in Jamaica grows up mooing differently than one in Scotland. Just like humans, calves mimic the same vocal tones as their herd. Plants evolve to survive and communicate in their environment, and it's the same for cows. Over generations, their environment shaped their true dialect. Historical farmers have known this for centuries, which is why many farmers can identify cows by their voice.
This isn't the garage anymore.
Come on, dog!
You did what most can't. Turned one idea.
Moo.
If you've ever eaten a strawberry, you've actually eaten 100 fruits at once. Strawberries are one of the only fruits to have its seeds on the outside. Each of those tiny dots are actually their own fruit, and the red part that you usually eat isn't a berry at all. It's actually a swollen stem. It was designed to hold the true fruits on the surface. Botanically, strawberries are what's called accessory fruits, and the yellow dots.
I love strawberries. Put in the comments strawberries if you love strawberries.
The true fruit, which are called achenes. Most of the strawberries that we eat today were accidental. Growers in France unintentionally cross-pollinated Chilean and North American strawberries.
Those are not strawberries.
Modern-day garden strawberry. Most of the apples you've ever eaten are clones. If you planted 5 different seeds from the same apple, you'd end up with 5 different trees. Apples have extreme genetic diversity. It's like mixing dog DNA.
Apples have what? Sorry, I've went back a.
You've ever eaten are clones. If you planted 5 different seeds from the same apple, you'd end up with 5 different trees. Apples have extreme genetic diversity. It's like mixing dog DNA to get a different breed. Only about 1 in 80,000 seeds would actually produce something that you'd actually enjoy, which is why every Honeycrisp or Fuji apple comes from a cloned branch. We're able to do this through grafting. That's when you cut off a branch of one tree and attach it to a different tree. That's how we're able to grow fruit salad trees as well. Without grafting, most ancient apple varieties and even modern day favorites would be extinct.
What we're trying to do is recover apples that in the last 100 or so years have been lost.
Most people don't know this, but carrots aren't supposed to be orange. Only about 500 years ago, they were either purple or yellow.
Like what? Carrots aren't supposed to be orange.
But farmers in the Netherlands wanted to honor William of Orange, the man who helped free them from Spain. For 150 years, farmers would only plant the yellowish carrots of the purple. And over time, they developed more of the orange pigment. They were sweeter and less bitter, and the orange just looked better than the muddy purple. But I guess orange is the new purple. Corn is one of the most grown crops in the world, but it didn't exist until about 9,000 years ago. Before corn, farmers would grow teosinte. It was a thin straw grass used to either feed animals or as a food source. But for 3,000 plus years, farmers would only harvest the teosinte with the biggest kernels. They did this so that over time, the plant would become more edible. I am a bit confused about the origin. Some say that it came from the early parts of Mexico, while others say that it was grown in multiple places. But what we do know is that corn doesn't grow in the wild because it can't reproduce on its own. So if humans disappeared, corn would follow along. Most people aren't going to believe this, but goats discovered coffee before humans. 1,200 years ago, coffee beans were just a seed of a plant. I'm not sure exactly, but somewhere in Ethiopia during the 9th century, a goat herder...
Guys, you gotta let me know if this is like all like verified information. I am like shook by what I'm hearing right now. So what I'm hearing, what I just heard actually, was that goats discovered coffee. That's what I just heard. And I wonder, how the fuck did goats discover coffee? And to be honest, the description he's giving, it doesn't even make sense. Hold on. Let me go back so I don't sound stupid.
Most people aren't going to believe this, but goats discovered coffee before humans. 1,200 years ago, coffee beans were just a seed of a plant. I'm not sure exactly, but somewhere in Ethiopia...
You're not sure exactly. Exactly!
9th century, a goat herder noticed that his goats were more energy.
It was 12,000 years ago. Yeah, I'm crashing out. And what about it?
After eating red berries from a wild bush. Inside those red berries are what we now call coffee beans. Both humans and animals would eat the raw berries and get both energy and diarrhea. The monks would boil them to help them stay awake during prayer. And by the 1400s, those beans were being roasted in Yemen. If you were to eat an almond 10,000 years ago, you'd probably die a slow death. Wild almonds were extremely bitter because they had a compound. Years ago, you'd probably die a slow death. If you were to eat an almond 10,000 years ago,
if you would have ate an almond 10,000 years ago, you would have slowly died. Guys, you know what I put on my cereal? Like when I have breakfast in the morning, I have almond milk. So now I'm just wondering. Now, how can you have almonds without dying? Or without slowly dying? You know what?
Probably die a slow death. Wild almonds were extremely bitter because they had a compound that broke down into cyanide. They could have used it to make poisons or even medicine. I'm not sure what changed, but farmers discovered a naturally mutated tree. It was a lucky accident, and Neolithic farmers started planting the seeds immediately. This mutation made the almonds sweet instead of bitter, getting rid of the compound that made them toxic. Every almond that you eat today came from that randomly mutated tree. Bitter almonds still exist today, and they mostly grow in places like Armenia and Iran.
So you can still have those almonds now.
Most people don't know this, but hibiscus only lasts for about 2 days, and then they die. Each of these blooms
Hubba Wubba?
In Iran. Most people don't know this, but hibiscus only lasts for about 2 days.
Hibiscus?
Each of these blooms open up in the morning time to attract pollinators, and then they slowly start to die away. Hibiscus evolved over the years to be fast and efficient, not really for endurance. Pharaohs in ancient Egypt would drink hibiscus tea for its blood-cooling compounds. Hibiscus is actually very pH sensitive, which is why hibiscus tea can go from bright red to purple. In traditional Chinese medicine, the body is seen as having hot and cold imbalances. Hibiscus was seen as a cooling herb used to bring down your body heat.
It's probably not edible. That sounded really dumb.
Most of you have seen a coconut fall. A lot of the time, those coconuts end up in the ocean. They can end up floating for days, weeks, or even months, which is how they end up on almost every tropical island. But what's even cooler is that...
Bro, what gave this dude the idea to just pick up a camera and be like, yo, I'm going to give facts on nature. And then now we're just talking about, like, what gave you the idea? You know, I ain't even gonna judge. Because after a while, all you do need is just pick up a camera and just, you know, yap about something, you know? I mean,
coconuts know exactly when to sprout. The brown husk on the outside protects the seed from salt water, and the embryo
I guess he ordered a yappuccino.
inside stays in kind of like a deep sleep until the conditions are right. Before humans came around and spread coconuts around the world, they were able to spread themselves. That's why you see them on islands far away from the mainland. Long before overpriced shipping, coconuts were the sailors of the sea. Most people never see a dragon fruit flower in their entire lifetime, and that's because dragon fruit cacti only bloom at night, which is why they're called the queen of the night. They only open in complete darkness, and when the sun rises, they close up. This happens because dragon fruit relies on pollinators like bats and moths to reproduce. And since those pollinators only work the night shift, they see no reason to be out during the daytime. Farmers have always raced against time to hand pollinate dragon fruit flowers before they close, and every time they miss that short window, they don't fruit. You may not believe me, but the reason onions make you cry is because they don't want you to eat them. Onions are not seeds, they're bulbs.
Guys, I don't like onions, especially cutting them. Because I've heard onions make you cry, but now I did not know that was the reason, because they don't want you to eat them. So this is me informing you guys, do not eat onions. Like I don't eat fried onions. But that's besides the point. Don't eat Funyuns. Because those are fried onions, right? Right? Yeah. I just answered my own question. I'm such a lonely ass bitch. Okay. Here we go.
System made up of leaves to hold nutrients for the plant. Onion bulbs aren't supposed to be buried underground because they need tons of light. But when they're planted, they need a way of protecting themselves from pests. So they start developing a gas, the same gas used in chemical warfare. It irritates your eyes and it makes you want to cry. But they only use it as a reaction of physical damage. When these cell walls are broken, the chemicals mix together, forming the gas that'll turn a macho man into the world.
I heard onions can also this is what I heard. It sounds stupid. It might sound stupid. This is what I heard from a couple people. It can blind you in the long run. I've heard, not like Stevie Wonder blind, but I'm talking about it could give you permanent eye damage. That's what I heard.
World's biggest baby. By 1860, the
I
US
heard.
produced a third of the cotton supply and made cotton king, driving the global economy. Enslaved Africans planted, weeded,
Wow.
and picked cotton all by hand,
Look at-
oftentimes tearing their skin and permanently damaging their fingers. If they didn't meet impossible quotas, punishment was brutal. Without this unpaid labor, America's economy wouldn't have taken off. Cotton fueled industries in Europe and in the US, and yet the workers who built it were left with nothing.
You know what? You're one interesting human. Sean Groves. You did a low-key make nature entertaining. I'll give you that. You low-key did kind of spit some. But at the same time, it's like, you know what, bro? Whoever floats your boat. But that's the end of the video. I think I'm giving the most appreciation to my homeboy that sent me this vid. I'm calling my homeboy because he means a lot to my life. You know who you are. Much love, bro. But thank you guys for watching the video. or at least I hope you did throughout the end. If you guys did, you guys are gonna get $1 from me in the mailbox. But anyway, spread the word. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. And question of the day is, what's the question of the day be today? What was your favorite part of your childhood? And if you don't have a childhood, then what's your favorite part of today? Have a nice one.